How are those cobwebs?
Oh, man. What a night.
Huge.
Tell us about it. We're talking about Vancouver, by the way, for those that don't know. The Whitecaps eviscerated
Bossing.
Leo Messi and into Miami. 2-0. 2-0. Entering the second leg next week. Okay, 53,000 plus fans at BC Place. Craig, you were there. You're one of them, although you count as two because you're so tall. Let me ask you, how were the Whitecaps fans in comparison to the pro Messi crowd?
Not bad. Not bad. I was a little bit concerned that it was going to be a bit of a home game for Miami. There was an awful lot of Messi jerseys. I didn't expect that. Not that I was naive, but I thought that there'd be a lot of curiosity toward Miami and fans coming to see him for that reason, or sports fans or things like that. I didn't expect there'd be so many Messi fans itself, and a lot of Miami jerseys, a lot. A few Barcelona jerseys, a few Argentinian jerseys, but a ton of Miami jerseys. But I thought the Vancouver fans were great. They had the upper hand on them really with what happened in the game and the goals, and I thought the game was terrific. And seeing BC Place packed like that, it was one of the best experiences I've had in football and in Canada. And it was a special evening, and I don't think anybody left, even the Messi fans left, with disappointed with what they saw.
From my experience, Forrest, when Messi came to Stade Saputo last season and he played, I think Messi, Ronaldo, you might argue, and then others that have come before in previous eras, there are some players who just transcend the game. I think he's one of them. So I think that is, you can owe the presence of jerseys and Inter Miami, I think, as a brand, and MLS pushing Messi as the person who's headlining that's the face of the league, or he's the face of the league. They've done an excellent job in that regard, even though maybe the rest of the franchises might feel like a little bit, that it sticks in their craw, but I think it does the game good in North America. But I was happy also to see not only the way the game went, but that when Messi touched the ball, he was getting booed. So was that reassuring to you that, like, you saw the jerseys? I think you had confidence in the fans in Vancouver, but did the boos go a long way to sort of, I don't know, like getting rid of those fears that it was going to be a bit of a home crowd for Miami?
Yeah, the booing of Messi was almost tongue-in-cheek. Like, most people were kind of laughing about it. They're booing and laughing, and it was kind of comical for the most part. But it's interesting too when you see what happened last time in Vancouver when he didn't even play. He didn't even show up. It was sold out pretty much. And before that, you had to go back to 1983 when they moved first time. They moved into BC Place. A year later, the North American Soccer League was folding at that point. But to see that and the Messi fans and how they were and how they reacted and how he does transcend, and then even this time around, there was no guarantees that he was going to play. I really felt confident he was, just because of the magnitude of the event. This is really important for both the clubs, and in my opinion, it was the biggest match probably for both clubs in the history of their franchises, and that's pretty hard to say. I mean, Vancouver goes back an awful long way. I remember the Soccer Bowl days, the semifinal against the Cosmos, the Tampa Bay Rowdies final. I remember all these things, massive events, but something about this and being so close to the final of the Concacaf Champions Cup that there was something about this that felt a little bit special, and it was nice that it meant so much with the presence of the great man himself, Messi.
It's a weird thing, though, isn't it, with Inter Miami, in that they're such a new kid in the block, such a new club. When we say it's, a really big match for them and their fans, and fuck off. No, it's not. I know you're saying it is, because that's why he's brought in for the league to win things. I get that. But they've earned nothing. They shouldn't be expecting championships just yet. Vancouver should be. For Vancouver, it's enormous. But Inter Miami have just arrived, and now they're big time charling it because they've got all these star names that have to be lifting trophies. Go away. I love Leo Messi. I always have. One of my all-time friends. I'm beginning to love him a little bit less because of this gong show. And I know it's great for the game. I understand MLS, North America. I get it all. Of course, it's fun. But I'm getting a little bit tired of it all, to be quite honest with you. And this, Inter Miami have to start winning championships. They've won nothing so far. They've been around for what? Is it 5 years? Maybe? Go away. Earn your freaking time.
They won the League's Cup, Sharms.
I know. The minute I said that, oh boy, there's the League's Cup faithful coming out at me.
Yeah.
But am I wrong?
Well, I don't know how you had been if you didn't play a minute last night. You might have been a little bit more angry about that. But one thing about Miami, Inter Miami, you have to remember too. Yeah, they might not have won anything, but in the franchise world of North American sports, there's only 2 clubs, and they're both basketball. The Lakers and the Golden State Warriors have more followers like on Instagram than Miami. Like we're talking,
Inter Miami doesn't. Messi does.
Messi has 505 million followers on Instagram.
Right, and Inter Miami's taking advantage. I mean, there aren't that many Inter Miami. When he leaves,
your problem?
No, I'm saying, I'm just making it very clear so everyone understands. When Messi leaves Inter Miami, okay, they won't have a bajillion followers on Instagram.
Oh, they won't leave. They'll always have that amount of followers, I think.
You think so? Will there be fans?
They'll always have a superstar there.
Not a Messi level, though.
Not Messi. I mean, it's all I understand. It's all about Messi, but just the fact that he's that big a superstar that you've got 4 times as many followers as the New York Yankees or the Dallas Cowboys. Like it's insane. It's absolutely insane. Just gives you and North American fans an idea of the magnitude and size of the sport.
Yeah, they've won the sweepstakes in terms of the cultural relevance.
Right.
And even when Messi leaves, people who don't give a shit about soccer, who aren't plugged in, who don't even read the headlines or don't care to know what's happening in soccer will still associate Messi with Inter Miami. And that will in itself be a win. I don't know if MLS will continue to benefit. And I think that they're devoid right now of an actual plan of what MLS looks like without Messi. And Jimmy makes a good point. Like, I think Inter Miami will always be looking for that next headline, that next star who's going to be the draw that way. That does transcend the game, that goes out beyond the realm of our little bubble of the soccer world. So I don't know if they have a plan truly, but right now they're knocking it out of the park, and they've put together a squad that has said outwardly, we want to win trophies. We want to win the Concacaf Champions Cup. And they've got a behemoth of a Whitecaps team standing in their way because, I mean, they've got a lot to do still, the Whitecaps, but I mean, that was a hell of a performance at home.
And right there, that's the point. Here we are talking about Messi and his significance culturally, sporting, where we should be talking about the Whitecaps and what they did last night and that performance. It was fantastic. Yeah, we saw flashes from Inter Miami, for sure we did. But there was one team that deserved to win that match, Craig, was it not? And it was the home team.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Miami has some possession. There was, Messi was brilliant in fits and starts. Had a couple of opportunities, a couple of tight little passes, but Vancouver defended really well. They are an incredibly organized side, and they're doing it without Ryan Gould, which is just something I didn't think it was possible. Brian White is just absolutely on fire, and I never seen him. I'm trying to think if I ever seen him play live before, but he's a big, stocky guy. Like, he's very strong, holds the ball up really well. He works incredibly hard. I can see why he's part of that American program. He should be part of it because he's lights out right now. You couldn't see a guy play any much better than him. And his supporting cast was, for the most part, very, very good. You might criticize some of the moves Vancouver. Maybe Ahmed was, trying to overplay a little bit. But, the positive nature of the team is really refreshing and was a handful for Miami. And you can see, as good as Miami are, and I wouldn't put them in the level of, Real Madrid or anything, because, Suarez he looked old last night.
Yeah.
He did. And Messi at times, he has to do a fair amount of walking around. There's nothing that Vancouver, if they can go down there and stay organized, they should be worried about.
I wonder how Suarez's knees were after that match on the turf.
Yeah.
Must
He was running around after half an hour. It looked as though his knees were shot.
I felt like I was watching my Nottingham Forest last night. Miami with all the possession.
Right.
Vancouver just bunkering in and then catching them on the break. I thought they were great last night. I mean, look, we've said it from near enough day one now how good this Whitecap side is. And with Kubas, VT, and Beerhalter in the middle of the park, I thought they contained Messi well. I thought, they didn't allow Busquets to get too much of a rhythm going forward. I just thought you're right in what you're saying. They were very organized, disciplined. They knew exactly what they were going to do. They knew Miami was going to have bags of possession. They were comfortable in their defensive shape, and they knew they were going to get opportunities. And Brian White needs one to score. And it was a fantastic first goal. Brilliant build-up play. Great ball over top, and that finish was wonderful.
Yeah, you make a good point about that, Jimmy. Like Nottingham Forest, that's a great example of, I think all season they've had around 40% possession. Not worried about that. Well, Vancouver was in that same sort of position where they looked very comfortable without the ball, and when they got it, they exploded. Attack with pace. Could have had a couple more. They had a couple good chances in the first half, didn't they?
Yeah. I don't know if Sorensen, feels great about that stat. Like a lot of coaches will look at it and you look at the result, but when you sort of peel back the layers of what that is and you dive into the performance, he probably would have liked to have had more of the ball, right? That's really part of their identity. But to Jimmy's point, I think, and what you just said, Forrest, is that they were comfortable. They never looked kind of undeterred. They never looked like they were under duress. They always looked like they were in control. And that is a big step, I feel like, for this side where they look like they've had the pieces in the past. They've been able to play well or had the performances in these big games, but were unable to somehow execute or to get that key goal, that clinical finish. And then to go back to Brian White, like he's this massive body, but he's highly mobile. He's great with his head. His timing is impeccable. So whether it's on a finish or just providing that key outlet to break pressure for his team and just a couple of seconds so that you can get numbers higher up the pitch. Like I just think he was phenomenal for them on the night, but it just capped off what he's been doing all season. It just drove home how critical a piece he is for this Vancouver team.
Mm-hmm.
Going on what you were saying there, Dubs, about the possession. And you find a lot of teams that do play matches with possession, they want to control it. With Miami taking control of that game, sometimes teams that are a possession team, they get drawn out of position. And then they get pulled apart because they're too eager, because they start getting frustrated. They want to go win the ball and get control again. And for me, good teams can play both sides, in possession and then without possession. And I think they're so organized right now and comfortable with who they are. They know some games are going to have possession and other games that they're not going to have possession. And a lot of teams end up crumbling because they don't have that possession. You know what I'm trying to get at here? Mm-hmm. They're just a team that can play both sides, with it or without it. And I like what they've got going on in Vancouver right now.
Mm-hmm. And last year, and you could say that this year, they played some very good games away from home. Arguably, they played better away from home, so they're not afraid of that. Yeah. Looking at Miami, like even last night, when they showed up 24 hours or less before the game, that's a long flight, 3-hour time change, and by the second half is starting, it's midnight their time. What they're used to,
right?
And you got these old guys trying to run around on an artificial surface that have just had a long flight and they're playing at midnight. And
I looked at it last night, Kreger. It was 6 hours and 57-minute flight from Miami. So add customs, add the 2 hours back for professional athletes. They go through customs really quickly, but that's a 10-hour travel day the day before. So you're absolutely right. Like, it was one of those things that I thought of immediately. I also wanted to really quickly just read some comments. This is pulled from the Footy Prime 2.0 dark web. Amy Walsh says, Miami looking dangerous now. Jimmy B says, very, Caps bunkering in. Amy Walsh, oh boy. Jimmy B, go on, the Caps. Forrest at CD, this is awesome. The reason this is the most we've talked about, been in alignment in watching a game on the dark web together. I just want you guys to notice that. Like, everyone is very excited about last night's match, and it maybe pulled us closer together.
I want a Caps jersey.
Who would you get, Jimmy?
Oh, that's a good one. I think I would probably take White. Where'd you get that?
Oh, our friend Kerry White and Alan Scholes sent it to me and sent me a T-shirt a couple of months ago. But here's the captain's armband. I just want you to recognize that. It's been up. I've been a believer since the summer, before last summer. So just so you know, I'm there.
It is funny with soccer, right? It is one of those things where, yeah, there's rivalries between the MLS teams and beginning with the CPL teams too, and MLS teams that will only get better. But right now, we want this country to succeed as a football nation, and we need our teams to do well in these competitions. So I think it's okay. And I know a lot of TFC fans and Montreal fans will dispute this, but it's okay if you're a fan of those teams to have a soft spot for Vancouver in this tournament. And I don't say that very often. I don't usually like that kind of stuff, but it's good for Canadian football to see a Canadian team do well on that stage. You can hate them when they play.
I think it's also us just appreciating a good team.
Yeah.
Right? We're enjoying the football that they're playing.
Not many options, are there?
They got a good squad. No, but you know, whether you support whatever team, but you got to hold your hand up sometimes and go, hey, this team is good and they're fun to watch.
I like the fight. I mean, even that at the final whistle, that last drive by Miami, really pushing, and Ocampo, I think Ocampo, wasn't it? Made that sliding tackle.
Yes, it's a fabulous tackle.
Like leaving it all on the pitch, you know, because let's not give up that away goal. Let's not do it. You know, and you have to go back down there at 2-0.
And the way that they've moved through this competition, doing really well in the second leg, delivering, and then, you know, away goals factoring in, but doing enough to get it over the line. They've conceded late. And then yesterday, it was really, really key that they keep Miami off the score sheet and prevent them from getting that critical away goal. And they were able to do it. So they're building on previous impressive performances. So, I mean, that it's always a collective with Vancouver. We've spoken about this, but, you know, you've got moments of individual brilliance. You've got players elevating the play of those around them, but the general kind of across the roster and starting 11 and the substitutes that came in, I thought that was well executed by Sorensen as well. And the substitutes made a really big difference. But everybody just keeps ratcheting up their level of play and increasingly making them relevant in this discussion kind of in continental football, right? So, I mean, when you look at you're projecting forward, Miami, I think, go back to Miami. So Forrest, you're saying they arrive 24 hours before. They're never really getting acclimatized or adapting to that time change. And then Vancouver go to Minnesota, I think, for the Sunday match. So that's really good when you think about, you compare like the travel schedules. I think it's easier on Vancouver because they'll probably go to Minnesota and then go directly to Miami. The match is on Wednesday, right?
Wednesday, yeah.
So it's going to be difficult either way, but maybe the edge there I would give slightly to Vancouver.
Yeah, that's right. They slowly move their way back east and maybe give themselves 48 hours or so to spend in Miami before that game, which I think will be very important for them. But you're right. I was talking, you know, that's another thing. The substitutes, the timely substitutes are incredibly effective, and they nailed it last night.
You saw the speed of Nelson, especially on Berhalter's goal, and what he lent to that attack, and really put the back line for Miami on their heels and created that space.
Which Vancouver shirt would you get, Dubs? Which player? Which name in the back? Let's go around the table here.
So Jimmy said White. I'm a big fan, but he's also an American. So that wouldn't be my first choice, but that would be up there. I would want to get a Canadian, but I think it'd be hard to not get a Reingold. I think I would get Reingold.
So you're going for the Scottish man?
Scottish Canadian.
You got some Scottish roots there, Dubs. That's okay. You're allowed that. Yeah. How about you, Craig?
Leo, man.
I was going to say Ali would be a good choice.
He's frustrating, but I do love the guy.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I like Johnson, the left back.
Yeah.
Really young. He's a teenager.
Yeah. He did well too.
29. Unbelievable.
And he's got Jimmy Brennan hairdo, like all clean up here. You know, he's probably getting the white tips ready.
Yeah.
little party in the back.
A couple tattoos, ears pierced.
I was going to say Jaden Nelson is my comeback. I like that he's got a really cool story coming back from Europe, being cut, like moving around and like people kind of losing confidence in him. And he's really doing the old Fred VanVleet bet on yourself, which is great. I love seeing athletes who realize that this is a business and you have to find your way, right? And your way can sometimes take a long meandering journey to find the right coach at the right time with the right club. It's a really cool arc right now for Jaden Nelson.
I guess Nelson Light would be Ralph Priso, wouldn't it? Kind of similar in that regard, that similar kind of story as well. Again, TFC product.
TFC is so
another one. Yeah. I mean, it would be nice to see Jaden Nelson on the bench for TFC right now. He's probably starting, actually.
Yeah.
Right. And Priso as well, right? Came through there. So, maybe. But I think, you got to go Canadian, I think.
You have to.
I think
unless you're Dubs, who went Scottish.
Or Jimmy, who's went American.
Because she's unpatriotic. Both of them so unpatriotic.
I'd go Japanese.
It's not a bad way to go.
Yeah,
I know.
You'd go with the least likable of the likable, and you'd get a Takaoka.
Right. Hey, speaking of least likable, you saw Asa last night. Right.
He is unlikable.
Joking. He's the most likable person in the world.
He really is.
Nice picture. It warmed the cockles of my heart to see a little selfie of Craig and Asa there from Vancouver. He did take care of you.
Talking to Asa, just because of his experience and being in that place and watching so many Whitecaps games and covering them, his thoughts on it, and he had never seen anything like it in Vancouver before.
I was going to bring this up, Craig, Jimmy, and Amy. It is the Concacaf Champions Cup. Whenever Concacaf is in the conversation, do you ever get a little like, hey, there's some foreboding, like, hey, I'm worried that the ref might, because Concacaf, they want, if I maybe they don't want. What I'm just saying is, marketing wise, Messi in the final against a large Mexican club is exactly what you would want on a marketing level, right? Do you guys, what did you think of the referee? Or was it even a thing because Vancouver was bossing so much?
I don't think it was a thing. I don't think the referee was at all that bad. I thought he did an okay job. Certainly wasn't a factor from what I could see. And you might be right as far as who they would like there, but quite honestly, I don't know. I don't think
you didn't see it on the field.
No, I think
I'd be more concerned years ago about where we would stand with that sort of thing. But quite honestly, there's nothing that I saw that would say that they were trying to push Miami more. But naturally, a referee is going to know probably these things as much as we do. But no, it was good. There's no Concacaf going on last night. Yeah. There's a lot of Concacaf people there. There's a lot of big wigs at that game last night. A lot of them.
Well, that's why you're taking this nice Concacaf. Yeah. Sorry, Jimmy. I know we keep cutting you off, but go ahead. All right.
No, I was just going to say that I think it's different with club football than it is international. We know what it's like at international level with Concacaf, and I think at club football, it's completely different. And they'll be delighted to walk in that stadium, see 50,000 fans inside that building.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I don't think the CONCACAFing will come into play in this competition.
No.
Yeah.
The competition, Mexicans have absolutely dominated for decades. And now Major League Soccer teams are starting to compete better. And there's going to be one in the final and against another tough Mexican side. Whoever wins that was a Cruz Azul and Pumas. So difficult for anybody, but certainly MLS are sitting in a good position. So Don Garber was there. Saw Don Garber at the game last night. Victor Montaliani was there.
Very diplomatic, Craig Forrest, isn't it? This morning.
Yeah. It was one of those events. Everybody's looking over your shoulder to see who's bigger.
It's you at 6'5".
Yeah, exactly. Did you
had about 30 seconds with each one of them.
Did you tell Don how much you're loving the Apple MLS season pass?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That should
Was
be a
it-
commercial. Do you remember when Forrest was like, he was much maligned and he was like, oh my God, like you can only watch the games on MLS Season Pass. And then you finally like made the decision to get the app and you were like, this
Oh my
thing's
God,
great. You can find
amazing.
every game. I can watch everything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
But
wary of what you're doing.
there's a lot of people in Vancouver and several that I talked to that, were at the game and had relatives that were trying to see the game and find the game and couldn't, oh, you got to get Fubo, you got to get One Shot, you got to get so there's a ton of people that didn't actually see the game or even know it was on here in Vancouver. Quite astonishing. And different times, media has completely changed, as we know, and the actual exposure of that game was lost a little bit, obviously, because
it also, Kreger, to your point, it has changed. If you're following MLS, you might consider or think immediately that it's on Apple. And if you went to your Apple app, because it's 2 MLS teams, and realizing, this isn't even on, right? Or where is it on? And you get a One Soccer or a Fubo. That Fubo, actually, One Soccer had a promotion where it was a $10 match last night, or to sign up was $10. So it was a 33% savings. But I only saw that, and it could be my feed, but I only saw that about 3 or 4 hours before the match. So
how about all our day oneers who subscribe to these channels got a break now and again? All these great sales and deals doesn't help me.
No. I think my taxes and like between JP getting NHL Network for his job and all the streaming devices I've subscribed to, it's like, Jesus Christ, they spend a lot of money to watch soccer.
I know.